Thanks for joining us for the Member Excite presentation. The Member Excite presentation is informative, interesting to the audience, and showcases the strengths of the presenter as an entrepreneur and their area of expertise. It's not a sales pitch, it's a 10-minute educational and insightful exploration into what they do. And of course, it's exciting.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our BX Excite presenter today.
Beck Drayton from Be Constructive Marketing to present to us on choosing the right social media channels.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for
Beck Drayton.
Good morning. So yes, I'm going to talk about social media today. I thought that this was a really topical theme to talk about today because as small business owners, it's really hard to be across every single social media platform. So really we should just be picking the one or two that make the most sense. Social media also evolves really, really quickly. So what worked for you 12 months ago might not necessarily be working anymore. So it's really important to stay on top of the trends and to know where the opportunities of every platform lie. I think it's also really important to say that just because you use a particular social media platform in a certain way doesn't mean that everybody else does, and that what's socially acceptable on social media actually varies a lot for different demographics. So a really good example of that is that I cringe internally anytime my mother reshares one of those, reshare this or you'll have bad luck for the rest of the year. Anytime my mum does that, I'm like, oh no, I'm not related to her. But that's what's her demographic, that's, socially acceptable. So I think it's really important that you need to know who you're talking to on social media and that you are replicating their behavior on social media, not necessarily your own. So in saying that, I'm going to break it down to those 4 social media platforms, starting with Facebook. So who's on Facebook? Everyone is on Facebook. Yeah, so everyone is on Facebook except for people who are about 25 years and younger. Facebook's biggest problem is that younger generations are not signing up because they don't want to hang out in the same digital spaces that their parents and even their grandparents are hanging out. So they're not on there, but everybody else is. But like I said, different generations and different demographics are using it differently. I think it's really important for every single business to have a Facebook profile because the way that people use their profiles these days is they do due diligence. So if they're thinking about coming and having a meal here, they're going to jump on that Facebook and they're going to have a look and see what the customer reviews are. They're going to have a look at some of the customer generated content, some photos, try and pick out what they're going to have, and they're going to have a look at the business opening hours. So even if you're not posting content as on your profile, you still need to have it on there because people use Facebook as a platform to search. In terms of opportunities for growing an audience on Facebook, it's not enough anymore to just post on Facebook on your profile and assume that customers are going to come and find you. You now need to actually take your content to the customers. So Facebook groups is where the best opportunities lie in Facebook at the moment for business owners. Most areas have like a local Facebook group. So I'm part of Northside Brisbane communities. I'm part of Petrie and Surrounds as a Facebook group. I'm also part of groups to do with like Brisbane small business owners, women in business, and just finding these communities where my target audience are hanging out and taking my content into those communities rather than posting it on my feed and hoping that they're going to come find me. Moving on to Instagram. So Instagram's been a little bit all over the place in the last 12 months. They're really, really trying to compete with TikTok, but the people that are on TikTok aren't the people that are on Instagram. So if you're going to be on Instagram, you need to be prepared to invest fairly heavily in video content. If you're not creating, 3 or 4 videos a week, then you're going to get lost in the noise. There is so much competition on Instagram, and you really need to be committed to doing your hashtag research and creating video content. The Instagram algorithm really favors video at the moment. LinkedIn. So I noticed most people put their hand up for LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my favorite platform. I think that it has the biggest opportunities for small businesses at the moment. So LinkedIn's obviously professionals, lots of white collar type professionals, although we are starting to see a lot more kind of blue collar building, especially commercial building and that kind of stuff moving onto that platform as well. It does skew a little bit older, so most people start a LinkedIn profile when they're in university, but they don't start actively using it until they're 3 or 4 years into their career. In terms of where the opportunities lie, so the reason that I think it's the best platform to grow an audience on at the moment is because there's a huge imbalance of content creators and content consumers. So what I mean there is that there are more people logging in every day to consume content than what there is people creating content for this platform. So if you create content for LinkedIn and post it, it is going to have a better organic reach on that platform than you would see on any other platform. We look after more LinkedIn accounts than any other social media platform, and it's the one platform where we consistently reach 120% of our organic audience. So that means not only are we reaching all of the people that follow our page, but we're reaching beyond that as well. So if you are posting on a platform like Facebook, you probably know you're lucky to reach about 10% of your audience. So I think that's why there's that huge potential. It also has huge potential in terms of like finding your audience. You know, that it's got great search tools for you to find exactly who your target market is, and you can reach out to them, and it's not creepy. You know, if you did something similar on Facebook, if you search for somebody by their job title, the company they work in and the location, and you connected with them and you sent them a message like, hey, I think we could bring a lot of value to each other, that would be really creepy and they'd block you. But you can get away with that on LinkedIn. It's the behavior that people welcome and that they're comfortable with. And then finally, I've got Twitter. So Twitter is, it's not that big in Australia, it is growing. Twitter a few years ago tried to relabel themselves as a news social media platform. So they really want to be the social media platform you go to when there's trending news and events that you want to talk about. So it's a great opportunity if your brand has content that you can talk about current events, current pop culture trends, politics, any of those kind of trending topics. It's not the place that you go to post educational content or evergreen content. It's kind of where you go if you have a voice and want to contribute to the conversation about something that is trending at the moment. So if you have a brand that's in the lifestyle space or anything like that, it can be really great. But otherwise, probably, and I noticed that most people did not raise their hand for Twitter, so I think you're all on top of that. That's pretty much all of my content. Does anybody have any burning questions about social media that I can ask?
So Beck, I've got a personal Facebook page and a business Facebook page. Is that the right strategy? And which should I be focusing on? I tend to post a lot of business stuff just in my personal one anyway, and I kind of neglect the business page.
Yeah, look, that's where I was talking about demographics, that really comes into play. So myself, my Facebook page, I use that to connect with friends and family and see what's going on in their life. So when people do try to connect with me for like a business contact, I'm very hesitant because I post a lot of personal content on that page.
Plus you got a lot of rat bag mates too.
Yeah. Also, my mother likes to come and like just leave the most embarrassing comments on photos and stuff, and I think yeah. So I think it really depends on who your target market is, and if your target audience are also using their profiles for business, then it's a great strategy. But if you're connecting with people and not a lot of people are accepting, or if they are accepting, you're seeing this kind of content that's more in a personal realm than business, then I think you need to kind of shift that a little bit because they're probably trying to keep it separate.
I used to think that LinkedIn was for business and Facebook was for personal, but that seems to have just gone out the window. Would you agree
I think
with
the
that?
line's blurring a lot. I see a lot of people put more personal content up on LinkedIn these days, and it just goes really, really well.
Yeah.
But you need to try and find that, you need to try and relate your personal, story to the business story. If you're going to do that, you need to say, this is what I did on the weekend, and I learned these skills, and it made me realize that, you know, we're always learning, and that's a really good thing to take into business and as well. You need to kind of connect the two and tell your audience why you're telling them this more personal story about yourself.
Well, I just had a question about when you said with the LinkedIn profile. Well, I didn't know whether it was pages or profiles, like whether you were posting for a company on their page or their profile when you were saying about that.
We do both. Yeah. So
I wanted to know what gets more reach.
I think we use the personal account to connect with people on a one-on-one basis, and then we start conversations and we invite them back to the company page. The personal page is really great for that one-on-one content, to have conversations, to let them know a little bit about who you are, and then the company page is really good for like the promotional content to sell and to make the pitch, and we use them very much in tandem to grow the audience and then educate the audience.
Okay, great. Love some new followers.
I have both LinkedIn and Facebook business pages for both of my businesses, but just wonder if you agree to have a solution to this question of when working with a whole team. My business is a whole team. When I went into business, the absolute principle that a one-man band can't support businesses in IT because you can't be available, you can't get holidays, you can't have kids. You've got to be available. So you need a team. You need more than one people to be able to support a business from a technical point of view. So the problem I have with both Facebook and LinkedIn is that they are platforms for making a personal connection, which I totally understand and get, because people do business with people they like. They don't necessarily even know that they do a good job, fortunately they do. But if those comments are coming back to an individual, there needs to be, it can't be managed. There needs to be something in between that enables those platforms of communications to get back to the business as a team rather than the individual as a person. You got ways that you had to deal with that?
Yeah, so we've got a few different things that we use for that. So first of all, like you've got to make sure somebody responsible for managing the accounts internally. That needs to be, because if you just say it's a group thing, we're all going to do it, nobody will do it.
That's the same with every business process, true, but it also cannot be an individual, because the moment that individual is unavailable, it's game over. And
So-
that individual can't be available.
What we do is we have a fake Facebook profile. Her name is Bee, and all of us share her login details. So if our community manager has a day off, then I've got Kate who'll jump in as Bee and manage the accounts. Also, you know, your notifications and stuff. So that fake account is set up to our admin email address. So if somebody goes on and leaves a comment, it comes through to our communal inbox that's managed by everyone. So that it makes it easier for us to kind of share that